I'm going to start with a chord from Windowpane off of Damnation. Chord from Windowpane is this. Alright, now that is essentially an E minor add 9. So it's a root, minor third, fifth, and then the ninth, which is the second above the octave. Very beautiful, yet haunting. The reason the Windowpane chord sounds so great is because we're dealing with the minor third, which is G, played at the same time as the ninth in F sharp. And when you play those two together, you essentially get a half-step relationship, because F sharp is a half step away from G. Now, in terms of the chord structure, the F sharp is being spelled as a 9, not a 4 or a 2. But the point here is that you have these two notes that are neighbors on neighboring strings, and it creates a very haunting kind of vibe. So, let's see what else we got. There's another chord they use in Windowpane, which is essentially like an add 9 power chord. It's a root, fifth, and ninth. Essentially, it kind of looks like a stacked power chord. And what we get there is so we're dealing with, if we're looking at this from the perspective of E, we've got an E, which is the root, we've got a B, we've got an F sharp, and again we're capoed, so this is just in theory. So we got the E, the B, the F sharp, which is the 9, and then we would have the E again, and then we have a B, which is the fifth, and an E, which is the root. So a nice big E minor add 9 power chord across the entire set of strings. Alright guys, the next song we're going to take a look at is Hope Leaves, and they use this chord. It's only 5 strings, there's no 6 string on this one, so we're just going to mute that. So we have open 5, we have 7 on the 4th string, 7 on the 3rd, 2nd string open, 1st string open. So we end up with, and basically what we have there is we have an A, an E, which is the 5, another A, which is the root, a B, which is the 2, and an E, which is the 5. So that's basically like an A sus 2. But because of the voicing, it's more wide open, it's got more shimmer to it. Alright, the next chord we're going to take a look at is from the song In My Time of Need, and essentially what we have for this one is we're skipping the 5th string on this one, and essentially what we're creating here is like an E minor 7 add 11. We have the A in there as the 11. Really nice, beautiful chord. The next chord from In My Time of Need is like an A minor add 9. So A minor, A, C, E, add 9, we have the B. So we're going to be skipping the 6th string for this one. Wide open. Alright, the next chord we're going to take a look at comes from the song Closure, and this one is kind of a contradiction unto itself. It's an E with another E, and then we have a G sharp, which is the major third, and then we have a G, which is the minor third. So we have competing thirds here. We have the outline of a E major chord, and then an outline of an E minor chord happening all at the same time. course, it's the contradiction of the minor third and the major third back to back that gives this its signature sound. The song Closure, and it essentially boils down to a D, add 9, add 11, which means that it's like an 11 chord, but it doesn't contain a 7, so it can't take the interval qualifier known as the 11 as the actual name of the chord. Chords are like the rungs on a ladder. If you don't have a 7, then the 9 and or 11 must be added. Otherwise, we would just consider it a D11 chord. But in this case, we're adding the 9 and the 11th on top of the major triad. So this is what we get. And with all these OPETH style chords, a lot of them are either major or minor with a 9 or an 11 added. It seems to be kind of their recipe for creating chords. And of course, the voicings are what make them so tasty. Our song Coil. And here's what we have for a sound. Now that is a minor 6/9 chord arpeggio. All right, we have the A as the root, we have the F sharp as the 6, we have the C as the minor third, the B as the 9, and the E as the 5. Very beautiful chord. What makes this chord so beautiful is that it has the 6 instead of the 7, which creates a fourth between those high notes, the F sharp and the B, the 6 and the 9. There is a fourth between that. And that's a very interesting interval in tertiary harmony, right? Because tertiary meaning 3, usually you have thirds that make up your chords, but that 6/9 brings in that fourth. So very interesting stuff. All right, guys, the second chord in the phrase, first part of Coil, would be this chord. All right, it's kind of the answer to the first one. So we're going from up to. All right, so now this chord. So this chord is essentially like an A sus2, but with a sharp 4. And the sharp 4 is actually the E flat, which can be found right here. And the E flat kind of fights with the E natural. The E natural is the 5. The E flat is the diminished fifth. I'm going to call it a sharp 4 because I want to kind of give this a Lydian flavor. So a simple A sus2 with an added sharp 4 for that Lydian vibe. Great stuff.